Let me tell you a story. I lost tens of thousands of dollars and nearly lost my sanity and almost my entrepreneurial dream. And it all happened because I failed to do one critical thing before buying a business. Now, this is not a victory lap. This isn't a look how smart I am success story. It's actually a confession, and it's raw, and it's a little bit embarrassing. But most of all, it's valuable because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. So let's talk about the blunders I made, the painful lessons I learned, and how you can avoid them. Hi, I'm John Stoddard from DealFlowSystem.net. I help buyers close 33 million in deals and raise 50 million in funding. And if you're working full time, dreaming about buying a business, but don't want to waste years chasing junk deals, this video is for you. Buying your first business is tough. In fact, only about 4 to 6% of people who start this journey ever close a deal. Why is it so low? Because there are hidden signals, skills you don't know you need, and a brutal learning curve nobody warned you about. This video is going to help you spot those signals, sharpen your skills, and shorten that curve so you don't waste years chasing dead-end deals like I did. All right, let's jump in. Part 1, the illusion of opportunity. Let me take you back maybe about 15 years ago. The first real online business I bought was called GameTester.com. It was a course on how to help people test games and get a job in the industry. Game testing. On paper, it looked like a dream. The broker told me, this thing's throwing off 4K to 6K a month, 50, 60% margins, and it's growing. And me, I was hooked because I was already in the industry. I worked at a software company that built software that built games for game industry. So I was already in that industry. And I thought, finally, this is it. This is my ticket to freedom. Working by myself, not answering to boss, W-2. So what did I do? I paid cash. And I overpaid. And I ignored every single red flag staring me in the face. Here's the killer mistake. The business was built on one fragile foundation, a single ad contract with Yahoo. And at that time, Yahoo was the leader. One vendor, one channel, one point of failure. And guess what? The second Yahoo changed its ad policy, my gold mine turned into a ghost town overnight. So think about that for a second. I can laugh now, but would you buy a business that depended on one contract with one vendor? One domino holding the whole thing up? I didn't see it at that time. Or maybe I didn't want to because I was blinded by the illusion of opportunity. And as Warren Buffett says, you don't find out who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. Well, for me, the tide went out, and there I was, stark naked, holding a failing website. Part 2, rose tinted glasses. Here's the truth. I was in love with the idea of being the guy who owned an online business. That dream actually clouded my judgment. I ignored the lack of diversification. I didn't even check if the ad contract was compliant. I didn't ask, what if? What if Yahoo changes their rules? What if advertisers pull back? What if it isn't sustainable? I didn't even ask any of those questions because I didn't want the answers to probably, and that's dangerous. Ray Dalio has a great story about this. Back in the early 80s, he was convinced he was right about the economy crashing. He bet everything, and he was dead wrong. He lost so much, he had to borrow $4,000 from his dad just to survive. He said, I was so arrogant, I thought I was right. And that was me. Overconfident, emotional, blind. Let me give you another angle here. Emotions make you overconfident, and overconfidence blinds you to risk. Would you ever date someone, ignore all the red flags, and then act surprised when it blows up? That was me, except it wasn't dating, it was buying a business. And the breakup cost me tens of thousands of dollars. Part 3, the due diligence disaster zone. This is the part where it really stings. I skipped due diligence. I mean, I did the surface level stuff. I looked at the broker's PDF. I checked the bank statements, but I didn't dig. I didn't hire any CPA. I didn't do any quality of earnings review. I didn't analyze customer risk. I just went with my gut. You ever hear the phrase trust but verify? Well, I skipped the verify part. And here's the contrast. One of my students, Sam, found an e-commerce business with ugly books. Looked terrible at first glance, but instead of trusting his vibes, he dug deeper. Turns out the seller had been running personal expenses through the P&L. Once he cleaned that up, true cash flow was way higher. And he had banks lining up to help him out. That's due diligence. That's what I should have done. Charlie Munger said, all I want to know is where I'm going to die so I never go there. Due diligence is exactly that. You're looking for where this business could die so you don't step in and join it. Now, let me ask you, would you buy a business if the seller looked you in the eye and said, trust me, it's solid? Part 4, the trust me trap. Well, that's exactly what I did. I said, the seller said, don't worry, the contract is bulletproof. I believed him, but here's the truth. Trust is not due diligence. Verification is due diligence. Warren Buffett himself fell into this once. He bought the Buffalo Evening News thinking he had the market locked, but he underestimated how hard the competition would fight back. Lawsuits piled up, and he admitted later he trusted his assumptions too much. Now, if Warren Buffett can get burned by assumptions, you and I definitely can. Here's the mantra. Don't trust, verify. Think about that. Don't trust, verify. Say it again with me. Don't trust, verify. Because every failed deal I've seen, mine included, comes back to skipping that step. All right, part 5, the aftermath. So what happened after Yahoo pulled the plug? Reality hit hard. Revenue collapsed. Expenses didn't. I needed cash injection just to keep alive. And I didn't have the budget for that. The stress spiraled. And here's the worst part. It wasn't just financial. It bled into my personal life and my confidence. I almost quit buying businesses right there. And the irony, my very first deal was actually even smarter. In high school, I bought a cow. Yeah, I grew up in Wilcox, Arizona, for $90 on an auction. I sold it for $2,500. That worked because I verified the market. I had buyers. It wasn't one fragile stream. And even the teenage John had more discipline than John in this case. The lesson? I knew better. I just didn't apply it. All right, part 6. What did I learn here? Number 1, the due diligence checklist is non-negotiable. You don't buy until you verify the financials, the contracts, the customer concentration, and you've stress tested the whole model. And number 2, the power of no. Walking away is a superpower. Don't marry the first business that smiles at you. Number 3, build your A-team. Your CPA, your attorney, your lender, and maybe a coach, kind of like me. Don't go solo. One of my students, Scott, faced this choice. 2 businesses, one was stable but capped, one risky with a lot of potential. He used Charlie Munger's inversion tool. Instead of asking, why buy this? We ask, why not? That simple shift saved him from buying a trap and led him to buy a winner. And as Jim Rohn said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Due diligence is that discipline. All right, part 7, redemption and next steps. Now here's the silver lining. That painful failure, it forced me to build systems. Systems I now teach so you don't repeat my mistakes. It taught me resilience. It taught me the value of walking away. And it taught me that even in failure, you're building wisdom. Ray Dalio built Bridgewater right after losing it all by creating the Principles book. Do you have that book? It's a great book. Radical transparency, radical truth. I built my acquisition process with radical due diligence. Les Brown said it best. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So yes, get started, but start smart. And here's what I'd do if I were you today. Run the what if test on every deal. Spot the single point of failure. Build your A team early, and remember, don't trust, verify. Because the cost of skipping that, it's not just money, it's confidence, and it's years of your life. Guarantee it. If you found this video useful, smash that subscribe button. And if you're serious about buying your first business, head over to my site, dealflowsystem.net. That's where I show you how to find, fund, and close your first deal the smart way. I'm John Stoddard, and I will see you on the next one.